In today's show, the Blazers are 0-3. Anfernee Simons is out 4 to 6 weeks with a thumb injury. It ain't great, but let's find out what's good. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Coming at you every single weekday, Monday through Friday. Make it a part of your daily routine. Tell your friends to do the same. Make it your first listen. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. Today's show, Blazers slipped to 0-3. Anfernee Simons has a right thumb sprain, UCL sprain. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. It's just a lot of bad news, but let's walk through it. I think we've seen some signs. This is a young team. They're going to struggle all year. I think this has been a disappointing start, but maybe not a surprising one. And the Anfernee Simons is pretty deflating. We're going to talk about that. Talk about 2 games over the weekend. We'll do our fastest recap in the West from Friday's loss to the Sixers and Friday's loss to the Magic and Sunday's loss to the Sixers. Shaedon Sharpe's playing well. Like he's starting. You're starting to see the signs from Shaedon Sharpe. And then we'll talk Scoot Henderson and kind of what it means with no Anfernee Simons, without easy solutions to kind of ease Scoot into it. They're throwing him into the fire, and frankly, I think it's a good idea, even if the fire will burn you, particularly early in your career. Okay, first of all, here's what you need to know about Anfernee Simons. Plays the first game of the season, comes in. He was not on the injury report right away, and then he shows up on the injury report. Oh, he's questionable with a thumb sprain. And then just before tip-off, or day of the game, not just before tip-off, hours before the game, the morning of Friday's game, it was like, oh, well, actually, Anfernee Simons came in for an MRI. He has a UCL sprain in his right thumb. It's on his shooting hand, and he's going to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. Dang. Ant has been the Blazers, it was pretty clear Anfernee Simons is the Blazers' best player. He's not a good defensive player, but he's good enough on offense to take the mantle. I think some stinky Jeremy Grant games to begin the season made it pretty clear. It's like Simons is the best player, certainly the best guard on the team by a pretty wide margin. And he was going to be the guy that made the offense work. The half-court offense is going to be a struggle for him all year long, and Ant was going to be the guy that kind of greased the wheels a little bit, because he would command double teams. He can get super, super hot as anyone in the league. He's not this high level passer, but he's got some playmaking skills, and he can leverage his and he can leverage his scoring ability to just open things up, right? Like the main thing he's going to do is have gravity as a scorer in the half court. That's going to be his main value to the Blazers. And now you're going to miss him for a month, if not more than that. It's stinks. It stinks because this was, if nothing else, I don't know that Simons is going to drastically change the outcome. Certainly was going to make them better because he's a better basketball player, but they probably won't be favored in a game until the Wizards come to town the week of Christmas. So they're going to be underdogs for, I don't know, they were going to be dogs a lot of the season, and now they're going to be not even favored in home games for a long stretch. It's going to be tough for them. Simons, though, part of it was not just him sort of greasing the wheels, it was finding out what works, right? Can Anfernee Simons play next to Scoot Henderson? The earliest returns? No, not really. Doesn't look good. Does he work next to Shaedon Sharpe? Is he a true point guard? Can you play 3-guard lineups and overwhelm people? How good is he on offense? What kind of steps can he take? And do the steps he take help his younger teammates, specifically Scoot Henderson, also take steps because things get easier because your coworkers matter? You just don't get that data collection. That's tough. But it will mean we get a lot of Scoot Henderson and a lot of Shaedon Sharpe. Chauncey Billups said after Friday night's game against the Magic that he's going to play the young guys. Shaedon Sharpe started both games since then. He's going to play Scoot. He's going to play Shea. They're going to play together. I'll talk about this later in the show. To me, that's the right move. Unquestionable. We'll talk about that in the third segment a little bit more at length, but we're going to see a lot of it. Let's talk about what we've seen from those two gentlemen, what we've seen from the whole team. First, let's get into it. Do what we do. Fastest recap in the West. The Blazers on Friday evening. They lose 102-97 to the Orlando Magic. They were down 31-26 at the break, 63-50, or 31-26 after one, 63-55 at the break, down 8 at halftime. Shaedon Sharpe, 13 points in the first half. Blazers kind of vaguely in it, and then they really hang in it in the third quarter. 82-80 after 3. Orlando goes into the fourth quarter with the lead, but the Blazers are still right there with them. They're only down 4 with 8 minutes left, but the Magic rip off a 9-0 run over the next 3 minutes. They get back to 13, but the Blazers will not go away. They will not go away. They cut a 13-point lead down to 5. They get a fast break with under 30 seconds remaining. And Shaedon Sharpe kind of gets caught in between pass and shoot decision-making, gets the ball knocked out of bounds. Blazers take a timeout, down 5. They need a quick hitter for whatever reason, and for whatever reason, it's just a bad one. They run a ATO to down 5, an ATO to set up a mid-post touch for Jeremy Grant. He gets packed. They don't score. He just gets everyone in the gym knew he was going to shoot it, including Jalen Suggs, who so wanted his shot and ripped it out of his hands. And the Blazers have to foul, and they go down. They end up losing by 5. Shaedon Sharpe led the way for the Blazers in that one. 24 points. Didn't shoot it great, but 24-5 with 2 assists to go along with 2 steals. Malcolm Brogdon off the bench, 18.7 boards. Jeremy Grant had 15. DeAndre Ayton, a double-double, 15 points, 15 rebounds. Scoot Henderson picked up 3 fouls in the first 9 minutes of the game. Picked up his 5th foul with 8 minutes left in the game. He finished with 7 points on 3 of 12 shooting. Is 1 of 5 from 3. 5 turnovers, 9 missed shots, 7 points. Tough one for Scoot. Robert Williams had 6 off the bench. Jabari Walker had 9. For the Magic, Franz Wagner led the way with 23. His brother had 17 off the bench. Cole Anthony, Carolina's own, 18 off the bench for the Magic. Paolo Banchero, 14, 7, 4 dimes, 11 for Jalen Suggs. Markelle Fultz added 8 and 6 assists and 8 points and 9 boards for Wendell Carter Jr. That's your fastest recap in the West. Blazers on Sunday lose again, but this time it wasn't close. It wasn't like they were in it with 8 minutes left and in it vaguely with 30 seconds left and need to make plays and didn't make plays. Instead, they just got walloped in the second half against the Sixers. They lose 126-98 in this one. Down 28-36 after 3, entertaining first quarter. And then the Blazers played really well. Legitimately, I think their best quarter of the season, the second quarter against the Sixers. They go into half down 66-60. Jeremy Grant, 15 in the first half to keep the Blazers in it. I thought he had a really nice game after a couple stinkers to start the season. And then the third quarter happened. And the Sixers started the third quarter 37-10. Whoa! And it was a mess. 27-10 rather. It was 23-8, 27-10 to start the quarter. They finished the quarter up 99-81. Joel Embiid didn't play in the fourth quarter. DeAndre Ayton didn't play in the fourth quarter. Jeremy Grant didn't play in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris, they start the quarter and kind of close the door, and nobody has to bring their starters back because the Blazers are down 20 with 5 minutes left. They're halfway through the quarter. They're still down 20. Blazers play second on the first night of a back-to-back. They're down 20 with 6 minutes left. They don't bring their dudes back in the game, or at least their vets, JG and DeAndre, and JG and DA do not get back in the game. And that's 126-98. Philly wins. Joel Embiid, bonkers box score. A box score only Aaron Sorkin could love. 35-7, 2 steals and 3 blocks in 29 and a half minutes. 35, 15 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals. I shorted him. I said 3 blocks. He had 6 blocks. 35, 15, 7, 3, and 6 in 29 and a half minutes. When Tyrese Maxey also has 26 and Tobias Harris had 24, you just do not have enough firepower. Shaedon Sharpe again leads the way for the Blazers, 20 points against the Sixers. Jeremy Grant 17 in the first half, didn't play the fourth quarter. Malcolm Brogdon 18 off the bench. He finished with 18, 5, and 5. Nice whole game for him off the bench. Scoot Henderson struggles again in this one, 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting. 5 fouls, 4 turnovers. That's 5 missed shots, 5 fouls, 4 turnovers, and just 4 points. DeAndre Ayton, 7 points, 9 boards. Matisse Thybulle, who's been really quiet to begin the season, scoreless against Orlando, 2 against his former team in Philly. Rob Williams, who I thought played pretty well off the bench, 6.7 boards in 25 minutes. Tamani Kamara, 12, and Jabari Walker, 12. I thought both of those gentlemen played really well. Tamani Kamara, he just does stuff. He's an active player, and him and Jabari, they're just kind of limited on offense. Like, they're not going to, you can't throw them the ball and let them do stuff. But they're just they scream long-term role players in the NBA because they can do things. That's your fastest recap in the West. Let's talk about Shaedon Sharpe. I thought he's absolutely been the bright spot this weekend. To begin the season, Shaedon Sharpe, absolutely the bright spot. I thought Malcolm Brogdon is kind of starting to put it together a little bit, and he's showing what you can do. Let's talk about some legitimate positives, and specifically Shaedon Sharpe. Dude's putting it together. He is. You used to have to squint to see it. Now you can open your eyes and just see him play. Let's talk about him in the second segment because, there's a lot of there's a lot of yuck with this team. And I think that's going to be a sort of a thing that the viewing public we're going to have to deal with is that they're going to struggle. But I think we're starting to see it with Shaedon Sharpe, starting to see him put it together. Let's talk about the signs we've seen from Sharpe in the second segment. First, I want to tell you about Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy made easy and daily fantasy made fun. I play Prize Picks on the app, but you can also play at prizepicks.com. It is super, super simple. All you do is you make an entry between 2 and 6 players in whatever sport you want. You can even mix and match sports if you're into it, and then you just pick more or less than the stat projections set by Prize Picks. You're not playing against pros. You're not playing against the field. You're not playing against sharks. It's just you versus those numbers. Super, super simple to do. So I play the NBA because that's what I'm most comfortable with. So it's things like points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. You pick the players that show up on your app. You make your entry in about a minute. You say they're going to go more or less than the projections that you see. And then that's that. Then you win your money with safe and fast withdrawals. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. They give you $100 when you put in $100. You put in $50, they'll match you $50. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LOCKEDONNBA and get that first deposit match. It's Prize Picks Daily Fantasy made easy. All right. Last year, the moments where Shaedon Sharpe was good, sometimes the Blazers would be down 2,000 points and it wouldn't feel as good. There's might be more of those in the future. But then in those games, he was playing a role that was carved out for him to fill up the box score. Now he's just playing starting shooting guard in the NBA and playing pretty well. He didn't shoot super well against the Magic. He ended up 9 of 23 from the floor for 24 points, 23 field goal attempts over 24 points. This is not a super efficient game. 14 missed field goals. Shot 4 of 11 from 3. One of those was a heave. So 4 of 10 from 3. That's a nice shooting night. But if you watch the game and just didn't hunt the box score, he left some food on his plate. He missed open shots. He missed open threes. He had a wide open, uncovered, naked corner 3 that he just bricked. He's leaving some stuff on the board. He missed some layups inside against the Magic. At the end of that game with 30 seconds left at full speed, though, kind of lost the ball, got caught in between pass and shoot on a 2-on-1 fast break. It's not a super easy play, but he made it harder on himself. And even then, 24 and 5 in 40 minutes as the starter in the NBA in a game that was competitive. And then, against the Sixers, he had a quiet first half. He had a strong third quarter. He had a particularly strong close to the third quarter when the game was kind of out of hand. But he played well again. Played well. 7 of 13, shot efficiently. 2 of 4 from 3. He's 2 assists, 3 turnovers. There's some simple pass stuff where it's just get it out of your hands, get it clean, make fundamental plays that he still will struggle with. But in both of these games, he makes a pass that you're like, okay, if he can do that, he's a different type of player. Against the Magic, they run a empty side pick and roll, so he's coming up from the baseline, and DeAndre Ayton sets a screen. Two guys kind of get caught in between. Are they going to switch? They're going to drop. They're trying to drop and get back and not switch 1 through 5. And during that exchange, Sharpe just throws a little bounce pass with his right hand, side slinger in the pocket that catches DeAndre Ayton right in stride. Ayton didn't do anything with the play, but it was such a nice pass. Such a comfortable look from Sharpe. Come off the screen, keep the ball in your strong hand, hang dribble to see what the defense is going to do. As soon as you see, make that pass, perfect touch, perfect timing, perfect weight on the ball. Just like, oh, if he can throw that little pocket pass, he's a different player. And then against Philly, they're running a set where Kumara just cuts across the paint, and I think the read is for Sharpe to run a pick and roll, but he just catches it and sees it and throws it right inside to Kumara, who gets an easy dunk. Toumani Kamara's a great cutter, really understands how to play off the ball. On a good team, Toumani Kamara would be even more valuable if he had better teammates. But like that read, break off the play, see a guy, get it to him quickly on time, right at his chest, so he can just like go up and dunk. Accuracy of passes, I think, has been a problem for Sharpe. Sometimes he sees the pass, but they're just like at someone's ankles or like just like not a quality pass. Both of those are just like, oh man, if that's what he's building towards, you see it. And then the offensive package, it's like he's starting to get a real feel in pick and rolls. He's not a playmaker out of a pick and roll. That's a step for him that he'll take, but like, he's got a lot of offensive moves out of it. If in drop, he's really good at eating up space right in the drop and then getting into a comfortable mid-range jumper. When teams have gone under or had a bad switch, he's getting way, way better at setting his feet and taking threes. And shooting threes off the dribble behind pick and rolls, that's superstar stuff. Like that's that self-creation and to score from multiple levels, from mid-range and from three. And against the Sixers, he had a really nice drive to the rim out of a pick and roll where he just gets the ball in his preferred right hand, uses his left shoulder, continues to make a great play. He had a fast break against the Sixers where he got it out on the run, sees Joel Embiid, who has 6 blocks at this point, is just having a freaking Wilt Chamberlain night against the Blazers. And Shaedon Sharpe just uses his incredible athleticism and feel where he goes up on the left side, switches to his right hand with a reverse in midair, throws it up off the glass without looking while Embiid's trying to block it, draws a foul and one at full speed. It's like, cool. Like I said, you used to have to squint to kind of see it with Shaedon. It's coming into focus now. It's not all there for him, but it's coming into focus. Like, I don't mean to hype him up as like, let's go. But I do mean to say, like, if you've watched these games and you've kind of slogged through some tough ones for the Blazers, Sharpe is putting it together. Sharpe is what you wanted him to be in year 2. Is like, okay, he still doesn't have the whole thing, but he's got all of the parts you want. And when he starts to link more and more parts together because of the physical tools are there, the shooting touch is there, his sort of decisions when to take shots is getting a little bit better. He used to have sort of that pass shoot decision making was tough for him. He's even in game 1, he had a couple highlight putback dunks where it's just like, yeah, he has some physical gifts that other folks don't have, and his feel of when to shoot and his shooting touch as that fills out, he's just going to become a really good offensive player. Like he's you can see it with him. If there is something, the next thing I want to see Shaedon Sharpe do, he doesn't, it's like the passing stuff, right? Like, I don't think passing takes time. It takes feel. It takes, the rhythm. It's also just like a skill development thing. It's like, if you can't throw that one-handed hook pass, that's a skill you need to work on. Then you can throw it and get better at it, all those things, right? But I think he's shown at least back-to-back games, like 2 plays where it's like good read, good pass. Continue to link those together. The next thing, sort of the step for me, is that I want to see him make just like little hustle plays. I feel like when you see him he'll read a rebound off the rim, get over everyone and dunk. But I don't think you see him do like dirty work stuff at the same sort of blinding decision-making, athleticism, quickness. Just a little more physical. Like if you watch him set off-ball screens when they run stuff, he's not super physical in screens. set harder screens. The defense, he has some defensive tools, but I don't think he's a very good defender yet, but he has some defensive tools. Like he has highlight blocks, 1 million of them in his package, and he gets, in his highlight reel, in the highlight package, like he's got 1 million highlight blocks. He has a touch for it. But the next thing is not highlight blocks. It's rotating early and being there. Like he has some great steal highlights, which is anticipation. But I'd love to see that anticipation that cuts off the pass before the steal comes, right? Like denies that pass. You see it a little bit, but I think the sort of grimy role player stuff, the hustle plays from Sharpe would be, I think Seth Partnow has written about this. Is like some guys have superstar skill sets, and the example he used was Brandon Ingram. Like Brandon Ingram does stuff a superstar does. He scores, he passes, like he can get his own bucket on his own, but he's not the good enough passer to really be a primary guy, and he doesn't do a lot of the sort of role player scaled down stuff. Whereas someone like Mikal Bridges has shown that he can be a high level role player and then has scaled up to be a star. I would like Shaedon Sharpe to show he could be like an elite third best player. What Shaedon Sharpe looks like to me is someone who is developing the skills to be a lead guy. Not a problem if you become a lead guy, but for me, there's like some middle ground there where I'd love to see him develop some role player stuff. Some of that's kind of nitpicky. I think he's been fun. I think he's been good. I think you're seeing him get better. And for this season, what you're hoping is the young guys get better, and Sharpe is starting to check that box. So it's been solid. It has been a bumpy ride for the other young player in the Blazers backcourt. Scoot Henderson looks like he's in over his head. And some have called for him to maybe not be in the starting lineup, or him to play a little bit less, or the Blazers to lean on Malcolm Brogdon more. And to that I say, poppycock. That's not what this season is about. Let me explain that poppycock and why I think it's so silly in the third segment. Join me there, won't you? First, let me tell you about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. And guess what? It's the NFL season. So why not get involved now? And if you're a new customer, you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. So bet a $5 bet for any team to win. Pick one of the good teams. That would be my advice. Say like the Eagles or the Niners or the Chiefs are going to win a game. This is not betting advice. This is just general advice on who I think is good in the NFL. There's a bunch of bad teams. You pick a money line winner, you pick someone to win outright for $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, no better time to get in on the action. App's super easy to use, and when you win, you get your money quickly and safely. And plus, if you get that $150 in bonus bets because you do get a $5 bet correctly on a money line, then you can bet on spreads and player props and over-unders and all that stuff that you want to do. You can live bet games. You can bet on futures bets on folks to win the MVP and all of that stuff. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked On Blazers. We talked Shaedon Sharpe, who is putting it together. Now we got to talk about Scoot Henderson, who looks like a 19-year-old playing in a league that he is not quite ready for. In some ways, this is unsurprising. He's 19 years old, playing in his third NBA game. He didn't get a bunch of seasoning in training camp. I would say that generally speaking, the personnel, the way that you would want to compliment Scoot is a bunch of shooting all around him, right? And a shooting big man and a hard-rolling big man. The Blazers don't have that. DeAndre Ayton is not a great pick-and-pop threat, and so far has not rolled to the rim hard with much success. Some of it is the way they're playing Scoot because he's a non-shooter. I don't really put that at DeAndre Ayton's feet, but it's factually true. He has not been that rim threat, lob threat if you were hoping he would be. It's your teammates matter, your coworkers matter, and I think for DA some of it is his coworkers mattering. Scoot has struggled. Against the Magic, he committed 1 million fouls. On one possession, I think he fouled Franz Wagner 6 times, and they called the 6th one. He threw Cole Anthony out of the way, grabbed him with 2 arms, and moved him with both his hands. It's like that's a foul at all levels. Against the Sixers, he had two where he just kind of like, one where he dug in on from the top of the key on a drive when it wasn't his man, just help defense, bad swipe. It's like, what, either get there with your feet or don't come at all. Like, it just like going in there to do like a soft swipe is just giving up an and one at this level. And another where he just gets over late and gets in the way and commits a foul when his teammates were in position to contest, like some just young growing pains type of stuff. The offense is a little bit troubling. Like, they haven't, against the Sixers, he had the first 90 seconds of the game, gets out on the break and gets DeAnthony Melton turned around with a quick right to left crossover and scores on a little nice reverse, like just a really nice play. And then just like can't score in the half court. He had 2 buckets against Philly. Both of them are in transition. The other one is a transition where he 2-on-1 where Shaedon Sharpe hit him for a dunk. Like he just hasn't figured out how to score in the half court. Some of his shooting, right? Like he doesn't trust his jump shot. Defenders don't respect his jump shot, and he's taken some tough ones off the dribble. He's passed up some easier ones on catch and shoots. Like, he's got to, the one he made against the Magic, caught at the top of the key, went up quickly and confidently off a catch and shoot. He made it. That's his 1-3 that he's made. Otherwise, he's missed hard ones and passed up easier ones. He's 3 of 12 against Orlando, followed that by 2 of 7 against Philly. There's no he's been bad, right? Like, there's no reason for, like, I don't need to sugarcoat it, right? Like, you've watched him, he's been bad. Maybe not bad in like this shocking, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's playing like this level, but like, he's been bad. He's looked totally overmatched. He looks like he can't score in the half court. I wrote down I was at the game Friday night in the home opener against the Magic, and the first possession he gets the ball, the first thing I wrote down is KYP. Know your personnel, because he gets the ball and he drives hard into Jalen Suggs' chest, and the ball gets knocked out of bounds. Jalen Suggs isn't very good at a lot of stuff in the NBA, but he's a good on-ball defender. That's why he's playing, because he can play defense in the league. Trying to, just blow by one-on-one against him. Like, that's why Jalen Suggs is there. Know your personnel. KYP. Against Philly, he had they trapped him a little bit on a pick and roll, and he just said, I got to get the ball out quick because that's where it is. But instead of throwing a clean pocket pass, he rushed a pocket pass. It gets deflected, bad pass, they go the other way. He had another play against Tyrese Maxey where Maxey knew he wanted to get to the screen, and Maxey is icing it, right? He's saying, like, you're not going to use the screen. I'm going to jump the high side so you can't use the screen. And Scoot tries to use the screen, bouncing into Maxey's chest. Maxey's not this like elite defensive player by any means, but he knows exactly what Scoot Henderson wants to do. Scoot ends up turning the ball over on the sideline. I talked to Jeremy Grant after the Magic game, and I asked him about, like, because he was a second-round pick, and he struggled as a rookie, shot like 35% from the floor, and then, figured it out. It ended up being like made a great deal of money playing at professional basketball in the National Basketball Association. And kind of like, I was asking him about, what it takes and if there's a moment for him. And he mentioned the same thing that I kind of had written in my notebook, was like, you got to see film and know what you're doing. You got to know who you're going against. And Jeremy mentioned something that I thought was interesting. It's like, if you're coming down in transition and you see 4 back, right? You see 4 guys back. That's not when you attack. Okay. But you see that, right? You come across half court, immediately pick it up. No, get into something else, get off the ball or run something, get an action going. That's not for you. But if you see 3 back, or if you see the big man's not back and it's 3 littles, like, go. And that's what you'll get by watching film and getting comfort and all those things. After his first game, after his debut, Scoot said he played too slow. Against the Clippers, he played too slow, and he wanted to play faster. I'm going to play faster. I got to play fast. That's my best skill. If I'm playing too slow, I'm not playing to my strengths. And then I thought, particularly against Orlando, he just played 100 miles an hour the whole time. Driving, 15 in a 25 and driving 100 in a 25 is no good. I'm going to abandon this stupid metaphor. Both of them are not getting it done. But like what Scoot needs is instead of holding down the accelerator at all times, flooring it, he needs to figure out the change of pace. When to go slow, when to speed up and use his burst, because when he plays off 2 feet, like when he gets into the paint and he has to jump off 2 feet, he looks like he's 6'2". When he gets to jump off 1 foot, he looks special, right? He looks like, oh, that's a really good athlete. But he's because he is just trying to go full speed ahead, people are just either cutting him off or staying locked on his hip, and then he can't explode. Like he's not there, and they're going under, they're sagging off him, they're daring him to shoot, they're packing the paint. Clippers pack the paint a ton. Orlando, they have a bunch of length and they put good defenders on him, and I think the foul trouble took him out of the game. And like Philly has freaking Joel Embiid, who is having a monster night, and it just, there's got to be some in-between stuff for Scoot, but because of the way he's getting played, because they're not worried about him shooting threes and he's taken some bad ones, that middle game has been harder for him to get to. Plus, Jeremy Grant's hanging out in the middle and taking a bunch of ISO jumpers. I thought he stopped doing that, actually, against Philly. I should say that. Jeremy Grant took way too many mid-range jumpers against Orlando. He played much more aggressive against Philly. It was best game of the season by far. DeAndre Ayton wants to take mid-range jumpers. Like they're just like spacing stuff with this current team. Okay, the poppycock to close the show. After the Orlando game, Chauncey Billups said he's going to start Shaedon Sharpe and he's going to start Scoot Henderson, and it is for as long as Anfernee Simons is out, it makes sense to just start. For him, the way he sees it, makes sense to just start those two gentlemen, because it's a chance for them to learn every night. Malcolm Brogdon's way better than Scoot Henderson right now, way better. He's been solid. Didn't shoot super well against Orlando, but he's been solid, right? Like he understands pace. He can get to spots. Good floater game. He's going to make some threes at some point, and he could play. It's good. Like Malcolm Brogdon is just straight up good NBA player. Way further ahead than where Scoot is. But this season isn't about finding out if 30-year-old Malcolm Brogdon can help the Blazers win 7 more games. It makes no sense to me. To start a vet. When Anfernee Simons was there, he's enough better than Shaedon Sharpe and way better than Scoot, that like I could see a world where you say they should start Ant and Shaedon, or but to me what matters is the minutes. So even if you're like dead set on like Scoot shouldn't start because like my JV basketball coach would make me earn the minutes or whatever it was, fine, whatever. Against the Magic, Scoot played 25 minutes and Malcolm Brogdon played 31. Scoot missed like the whole second quarter. He would have played 30 and Malcolm Brogdon would have played 31. Maybe 33 and 31. Against the Sixers, Scoot played 26 minutes, but he came out with like 4.5 minutes left. So he would have played 30. Malcolm Brogdon played 25. He didn't really play at the end of the third quarter. He would have played 30 plus. Even if you swap a minutes, the way the guard rotation works, Scoot's still going to play 30, 31, 32 minutes a night when he doesn't get in outrageous foul trouble. That's the point. That's the right approach. This team isn't going to be good. It's about data collection. It's about reps. What Scoot needs is reps. It's been tough to watch. He hasn't been good, but it makes no sense to limit his minutes. I play Scoot and Shaedon together. Figure out what you got. Let him. At some point, Scoot Henderson's going to have a good game, and it might unlock some of his confidence, or it might just be a blip and he has some bad games. He might struggle all year long. He's a teenager in the NBA. But it doesn't make any sense to me to limit his minutes, and I like that Chauncey Billups is playing the young guys together. I like it. Let them play. This season isn't about figuring out whether Malcolm Brogdon is good. He looks good, and he's playing 30 minutes a night regardless. When a contending team needs a point guard, they'll have seen Malcolm Brogdon be functional. You're not wasting anything. And when Anfernee Simons is out, you got 96 minutes, and you got 3 guards. You're just going to split them up. They're all going to play. Shaedon's playing a ton. He's playing like 40 minutes a night. You cut him back to 37, play the other guys in that 31, 32 range, 30, 32 range. Like, that's it. They closed the game with all three of them on the court against the Magic. They're going to play. They should play. It's the right thing to do. This season is about development, and development can be rocky. And if it's rocky, so be it, because the team is invested in Scoot Henderson being good. And you certainly don't pull out of the experiment now. You kind of have to dive in and get into the choppy waters, because you owe it to yourself 80 games, if not more, but like you owe it to yourself 60, 55 to say like, okay, this isn't there yet. To me, it makes no sense to like prioritize Brogdon in order to be more effective, because the wins are a secondary part and the losses are totally fine for this team. Guess what? You're listening to October 30th show, and tonight they play second night of back-to-back against the Raptors. Tuesday, we will talk about that one. More shows the rest of the week. They wrap up the road trip Wednesday and then come back Friday against the Memphis Grizzlies for their second home game of the season. Raptors, Pistons, Grizzlies. Will they get a win this week? Will Scoot Henderson score in double figures and look functional? We'll see. We'll get you covered right here, wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.